myself.
Right.
So the next time I saw her was actually just recently, after about 5 months of answering her questions. I see her training in the gym, and she looks at me 4 times. Not once does she ever acknowledge me, doesn't come up to me, nothing. Nothing. I don't expect her to come up.
After all that.
After all that. I never asked anything from her. And to make it worse, she stopped putting the links to my blog. So now I was answering her questions, not getting anything out of it.
Oh, my God, yeah.
So I had to cut her off. I mean, but I tell you this story as an example of the kind of unfriendliness that you see around here sometimes, you know.
Yeah.
See, I'm not that kind of guy. Again, I don't expect her to come up and hug and kiss me.
No, but at least acknowledge, right.
Just a wave, that's all I asked.
Well, back in the day of the 70s, everybody was friendly.
Right.
Everybody did everything.
Everybody.
For everybody, and it just, everybody got along, it was social, it was nice.
Right.
Hung out on the weekends, we all got, you don't see that down here anymore.
No, you don't.
I don't know if bodybuilding is dying. I know that a lot of the contests nowadays, like I had said before, they bring in a lot of fitness models now. They do fitness for women because they know that draws a crowd.
Right.
Guys want to go see the girls.
Right.
You know, to go watch somebody pose, and when today's everybody looks the same on stage, pretty much.
Right.
You don't. It's so nitpicky now, down to like a vein in the wrong spot, and you lose. You know.
True.
But one other thing I wanted to get into was supplements. Do you take supplements other than normal food?
Oh yeah, I take a lot of supplements.
And you feel that?
Oh,
there we
right
go.
Here, yeah.
Do you feel that the proteins out there today do a job as a meal replacement?
Actually, the proteins today are very good. I mean, we didn't have the quality proteins, as you know, back in the 70s. I mean, what did we took liver tablets, I remember, and brewer's yeast and that kind of stuff.
I still take brewer's yeast.
Yeah, well, the brewer's yeast is good stuff. I mean, but the thing is, I mean, you have these high-quality whey proteins. They have these things called bioactive peptides. I mean, this stuff can actually be taken by somebody who doesn't work out.
Right.
Like I told a friend of mine whose his wife is having some problems and she's losing muscle. I suggested that he give her like 2 whey shakes a day in addition to the meals to kind of curtail the muscle loss.
Yeah, sure.
So in other words, it's so healthy, my point is, and it's so pure that it can be used by anybody. So I'm a big believer in I take supplements that go beyond just the bodybuilding purposes. I take a lot of these things for health. I take a little of this stuff called resveratrol, which is found in red wine. It doesn't really have any real bodybuilding applications, but I believe that some preliminary studies show that it can actually have pretty beneficial effects on health.
Well, there was some people that wrote into me, or maybe just one, that said that bodybuilding supplements are a waste of money, a waste of time. You're wasting your money on them. They do no good at all, and I don't believe that at all.
I don't agree with that either.
The protein, the L-arginine, there's all kinds of things that do work, and I take them as any afternoon rather than a meal because it's easier.
Well, you know, there's 2 sides to that argument, Rick. I mean, there's the hype that you see in the ads today. I mean, the claims. I was just again talking online. We were talking about this creatine, form of creatine ethyl ester. When it came out, they were trying to say it was 400% better than creatine monohydrate. And my first question is, who says? Where is it? Where's the research? I mean, this is the kind of thing that turns people off, the hype. And, of course, they use the pictures of the pro bodybuilders with the idea that if you take the supplement, you're going to look like these guys. And I think that might fool 14-year-olds, but I don't think any adult really believes that using the supplement's going to make him into Jay Cutler. I mean, that's nonsensical.
No, it's just the food.
But, you know, again, to get back to what you were saying, a lot of these things like whey protein, creatine, there's one called beta-alanine, I think these things have real use. A lot of the stuff is actually, it's not that it's bad, but there's really no research behind it. I mean, in an effort to like inflate the price of some of these products, they throw in everything but the kitchen sink, all these esoteric ingredients. And I've actually taken the time to try and find the research on them. And what I find is either what they call in vitro cell studies, isolated cell, or animal studies. There's no human studies whatsoever from a lot of this stuff, meaning that when you take it, it's really no telling what it's going to do. It might help you and it might do absolutely nothing. But in other words, they have to put it on the products to justify, you know, you're selling a can of stuff for like, what, $90? I mean, if you put in 2 ingredients, somebody's going to say, oh, I'm not going to pay $90 for that.
Exactly. You got to throw in 30 ingredients.
Right, yeah. So as long as it's deemed safe, in other words, these companies don't want to undergo litigation. They don't want to be sued. Right. If they, you know, and that's another thing. See, they put in what they call, they have what they call proprietary labels, where they don't list the exact amount. And that's done for 2 reasons. Actually, it's done supposedly to protect other companies, to defend against other companies stealing their formula, right? But it also allows them to put in teeny tiny amounts. In other words, you don't know how much
trace amounts.
But this protects them. See, that's the other side of the coin. By putting in small amounts, the odds of somebody getting sick from it or having an OD or whatever is nil, because there's basically nothing in there that can make them sick.
Yeah.
But you're still paying like $70 a can.
Yeah.
So you as the consumer are still getting ripped off any way you look at it. So this is the kind of thing that turns people off about supplements.
But there are good supplements.
There are good supplements.
Brewers East. I mean, liver tablets I don't take anymore. They're very gassy. But,
Right.
but back when we were training, I think we had Blair's Protein was about the only one.
Oh, Blair's Protein was still the best tasting protein.
Still the best. And then you had Hoffman's, which I don't know what that
Oh,
was.
my God.
Hoffman's was spelled Proteen,
Yeah.
so it wasn't even really
That was
protein.
it was a soy-based protein, and
Right.
then he had another one called Protein from the Sea, which remains.
I remember that.
Which remains to this day the most vile tasting. I mean,
Yeah, it was like
this stuff
dead
was.
fish.
Yeah, exactly. It was called Protein from the Sea, and I suspect it was like a combination of dead fish
Yeah.
and seaweed because it had the consistency of sand, literally.
I remember it.
I mean, and this stuff. I mean, it was. You know what? An emetic is something that makes you vomit immediately.
Yeah.
9 out of 10 people, when they tried to drink Protein from the Sea, when they mix in a blender,
Yeah.
I mean, you could throw in ice cream, peanut butter, nothing killed the taste of this
Nothing.
stuff. You'd have to have an ironclad stomach, or you had to be extremely motivated to down this stuff.
Yeah, I
I
remember
mean,
this.
it was incredible. I mean,
So basically back then we got most of our protein from meals.
exactly right.
Yeah, I know Arnold took a protein drink every afternoon, so did Franco.
Right.
But it was probably, I think it was Blair's, because he's the one that introduced me to Blair as well.
Right.
And Blair's is still around under new ownership.
Yeah, I heard.
But it's very expensive, like $300 a big.
Is that right?
Yeah, it's like really outrageous.
Well, I remember a friend of mine. You might remember Jeff Smith was my training
Yeah.
partner in the '70s, and Jeff used to go to Real Blair's place.
Yeah,
and
so
he'd
did
come
I.
back. Yeah, he'd come back with a bunch of supplements.
So
and
did I.
he had literally a car full. You
Yeah.
know, and he gave me some of it. And I remember Blair gave him. Of course, he had the vanilla Blair protein, which was delicious on its own. Then he had his coconut extract, which I'd add to the protein, and then I would put in heavy cream. Remember the heavy cream?
Yeah, sure.
And I'd mix that in a blender, and it would get so thick it was like ice cream. You'd eat
Exactly.
it with a spoon.
Yep.
This stuff was the most delicious stuff. I started eating it by the quart, and I wound up gaining about 40 pounds. I mean, Blair was saying that you won't get fat from the heavy cream.
Yeah.
I got fat as a house.
Yeah, you get that from it. But it did taste good.
Oh, my God, did it taste good.
Well, anyway, I think we touched on all the subjects I wanted to touch on this segment, and there'll be plenty more coming along, but I'm sure your viewers will like this because this is interesting stuff that we did back then and compared to nowadays. So listen to it and take it in and choose what you want to do for yourself because everybody's different. You know, you got to choose what works for you. But this is good information. And thank you for watching Ric's Corner, and thank you for Jerry for giving me this interview because I've been trying to get you for a long time out of bed over here, and you woke up early to come.
I'm a night person.
Yes, he is. And so stay tuned until next time, and thanks for watching.